Think very big. You hear that over and over with people who are just living big. Think big because you're so much more than you can even possibly imagine right now. So allow yourself that potential and step into it and let go of the fear because fear is just an illusion. It does not exist. So just over and over, just keep reminding yourself who you want to be. And you're going to have the most amazing life. Freedom. I think of freedom when I think of who am I becoming? Free in all aspects to just be who I want to be. Just allow myself to be that. More love. Honestly, I'm at a point where I want to be it all and I'm allowing it all to exist because we can become everything that we want.
Welcome to Limitless, the podcast. I'm your host, Jelena, and I know that you are going to love this episode because today we are going to help you to step out from your limitations and stop hiding behind them. So, if you're somebody who is currently going through some kind of transformation, maybe you're rebuilding your life, or maybe you are stepping into more visibility, or you're just called into something bigger, then this episode is for you. And we can tell you that if you stop operating from limitations and you stop waiting to become perfect, you can step into the most authentic and magnetic version of yourself. The very essence of this podcast is to remind you something that the majority of the people forget, that you are not a limited human being that is trying to create a better life, but you are actually a limitless consciousness that is having this temporary, beautiful human experience. If you are feeling limited in certain ways, you are having limiting beliefs that were imposed on you when you were young, from feeling low self-worth or less self-love or a lot of shame and guilt you're hiding, then we are here to tell you that this is not your truth. It's not who you are. And today on my podcast episode, I have wonderful friend Patricia, who became very aware and conscious and decided to build her next chapter, not from limitations, but from the fullness, from authenticity and freedom. And so I know that this episode is going to be very deep, reflective, powerful. And I invite you to sit, relax, and absorb. So, my dear Patricia, welcome. I always start with the identity because I think this is the essence of this work in spirituality and personal growth. So, people do not even realize how limited they are in this identity that is created around limiting beliefs and all of these imposed things. And the very thing you have to start to ask yourself is, if you want to change your life, is who do I consciously choose to become? And so my first question for Patricia is, what do you or who do you feel like you are becoming in this chapter of your life, or you already are?
Well, I think it's part becoming as well as you already are. If you tell yourself you're not something, then you're going to create that. And the truth is, you already have everything. You're just becoming more of it. You're realizing more of it. So you already are it. You're just growing more into it. So who am I becoming? I think you said it beautifully in the beginning. Thank you for that introduction. Definitely more authentic, more myself. I have been a person that everyone was telling me to be. I was following the world and I realized I wasn't happy. So I'm becoming way more authentic, way more comfortable in myself. I mean, just 2 months ago, I probably wouldn't have even been talking on this podcast because I was so afraid to express myself. And so, freedom. I think of freedom when I think of who am I becoming? Free in all aspects to just be who I want to be, just allow myself to be that. More love. Honestly, I'm at a point where I want to be it all and I'm allowing it all to exist because we can become everything that we want. It doesn't have to be one or two things. Like you said, we're limitless.
Great. I'm sure you will tell us a little bit more of ideas, maybe in the professional sense you are identifying with. But let me then go to the next question around transforming the limiting beliefs and the weaknesses and turning them into the power or who you are becoming. And so I'm sure you went into yourself and started to look into these struggles or weaknesses or beliefs that you realize they are not serving you. We often think that if we are struggling with something, that something is wrong with us. You can see the stories and listen to the stories of people who turn their absolute weaknesses and struggles into the most powerful strengths and their mission. And I can speak also from my experience, and this is what we also touched in our private conversation, is that I had my acne scars all of my life. And maybe because of that, I build an anxiety around speaking in front of people. And as you said before, this podcast wouldn't be possible from this perspective or this personality. And sometimes you feel you have the mission or you're called to do something or to share something. And that is when I said, I'm not giving the power anymore to these things. Because as you already also said once, we are pure potential underneath. And so I wanted to ask to deepen a little bit this topic, if you want to go particularly to this struggle, or do you have any other struggle or weaknesses that you said, I transformed this into my power now? Or
So I feel there is some form of resistance for you to move through. So not everyone is going to share the same things, but I could say that pretty much everything I am becoming, I've had a struggle with, because I've decided I don't like this level. I want to be better. I want to feel better. One of those things was public speaking, just like you. I was so afraid to speak my truth. I have just said, no, I'm all in. I'm going to change this. I don't accept this identity anymore. And I decided to work through it all, because you can't just jump from not being able to speak publicly to just go and be in front of a crowd. There is a transition period, and it's quite beautiful. There's a reason why we gradually move through these things, because we gain insight, we gain power, knowing clarity of who we want to be. So I've been working through this, and it is still something I'm working through, but I am enjoying the process. But yes, I decided this doesn't serve me, but it's actually become my greatest power, because now that I'm outside of the box of limitation, of worry and concern of what people think about me, now I feel like I can express myself in all these different ways. I can love myself deeper. I can really connect with someone. How could we even be friends when we could talk at a personal level? If I felt afraid to express myself, I wouldn't know that you were going through something very similar to me.
yes, it's absolutely beautiful to have this exchange. And we also touched last time on our private conversation how the body has specific mechanism of blocking you, because you are somebody who is anxious and it's not able to show up powerfully, and the body will work in accordance to this identity. So it will send you an anxiety, you will become nervous, you can even have blackouts, you will start to overthink. I remember when I would be sitting in the big room and some people will ask questions, and I already had a good question, but I will overthink. I will think 10 times, and by the 10th time, I already give up to ask that question. It's absolutely limiting myself to express myself, because there is a value in what I do want to share, or anyone, and there is a reason why we are there, and we have all of these great questions. And then your body is just, we are the ones who are not stepping out. We are not going to share anything. So I send you a little bit of anxiety. I send you a little bit of nervousness. And then here we are again.
Yeah. If you think about it, the truth is everything is supporting whatever you want to create. So if you accept an identity, that you can't speak in front of people. The body's going to be okay. The brain's okay. We're going to shut you down. We're going to create anxiety because you're basically saying that this is a scary situation and we don't want you to go there. So everything just is supporting you and loving on you. And if you can just come back to the fact that you created that identity and just change it, everything will support you in that new direction. So I completely understand the blackouts and the forgetting and it's all from identity. It has nothing to do with who you really are.
That is beautifully said. And I'm also really grateful that we can have visibility that we are stepping into, because there is a mission behind. Otherwise, we would still be living the lives that we were living before. So maybe there is something else that you worked through.
I feel like so much has happened. Where do you want to start? But I was just living in so much shame and guilt and worry and stress that I could say that I could check all of those boxes. But once I just decided, no, I want to move all through all of these things. Sometimes it's you shift one thing and other things just unlock. So you don't even have to really do too much once you just start focusing on one thing. One thing that actually comes to mind is I had issues with money, with making money and growing money. And then the more that I looked at it, I realized there was a program there where I told myself that making money was scary. Why? Because, and I love my parents. I have nothing against them. I just think that parents sometimes don't realize what they show their kids. But my mom worked all the time. She was never home. Neither was my dad. And so to me, my parents chose money over me. So why would I choose money? Why would I want to do that to my kids? I subconsciously created a program and identity that money is evil, money is wrong. I'm not worth money because if I was worthy, my parents would have chosen me. They wouldn't have chosen working all the time. And so I didn't fully understand those things. And now that I understand, I'm removing all of those and replacing them with truths, whatever truth I want to exist. And so now money comes to me very easily. I don't worry about it. And even in moments where I feel concerned or worry, I'm like, oh, that's an old identity. That's not who I want to be. And I just release it and I replace it.
Yeah, just say this is not who we are. When you are talking like with your higher self or God or however you want to call it, it's like we are not this anymore. We have another mission. We are somebody else now. The money is one of the limitation, and there are so many others. So we could probably go into each of
So
them.
many other body
We,
image. I could go on. It doesn't matter how beautiful you look on the outside. You're going to find something if you don't love
yeah,
yourself and point at it. Right.
yeah,
And you start to realize, why am I shaming myself? I love myself. This is my body,
yeah.
you know?
When you are starting to realize that you're limitless and that your consciousness, the goal would be to find, to listen voice in your head, what is telling you, because many times it will tell you so many lies and negative things. So that's why you will be doubting on your self-image. Look, this girl is much more beautiful or anything. And then our job now is to listen to this voice, catch it and say, you know what, this is not who we are anymore, and then replace with the truths. So when we are transforming ourselves, it is so important to have a community where you can share your wins and your struggles and your business ideas and these inner shifts. And that is why we have created our gatherings on Friday. So each Friday at 7 p.m. Central Eastern Time with the female founders, entrepreneurs, or wellness-oriented females, and corporate women, and all other women who want to step into the next chapter of their life with much more abundance and authenticity and freedom to express themselves. And so if you're feeling called, we are welcoming you. You can find the link in the bio or in the description below, and Patricia and me will be there with other women. For us, it means a lot since we realized how holding the space for somebody else and finding the blind spots, how revealing this is.
I love that. I love that. Yes, definitely come join us. That is what we do for each other. We listen, we hold space with no judgment, and we hear where maybe you can't hear yourself. So we are a reflection for you to grow in places that maybe you can't even hear that could use some light, can use some light on it. And that's okay because we all have those parts of us. And so we hold that space for each other and we work through it with love.
Sometimes there is some breakdown in life, or there is some change in the perspective, or we just had some realization and we cannot stay who we were and we want to create something different for ourselves. And I really can speak about myself because I had breakdowns of certain segments of my life and I was forced to look into myself. And I'm so happy actually that I have found spirituality and personal growth and the community where we can share. And so I'm so curious, Patricia, what has brought you to this path? Was there any particular event or awareness?
Well, I feel like in life, it will show up in little moments. But if we ignore these moments, it will become one big moment. And I did have a moment like that about 2.5 years ago. And I had to face what I had created up until the point. And I did not like what I saw. I did not like what I had created. And I didn't fully understand who I was, how powerful I was. So I went into a deep depression, confusion, sadness, again, shame, guilt, all these very low vibrations. But it's okay that I went there because it was for me to analyze and understand myself a little bit deeper. And it made me way more powerful because from there, I was like a rubber band. I had pulled myself really far back and then I thrusted forward very quickly. So I went into a depression, but I came out and I was, no, I am creating a new life. I have no idea how, but I am not happy here. And this year actually was the year that so much has changed. I said, I am all in on myself. And that is where Kathleen's programs came into my life exactly right after the time I said that. And that is how we met in the community. And so much has been transforming since then. But it really starts, and you said this before, it starts with being aware of yourself. You have to be paying attention to what you're saying in your mind and who you're being and realizing that is not who you are. You get to choose again. So it starts with awareness, and then you get to decide. And I'll tell you, once you decide, all the forces are right behind you, ready to be like, okay, we're going here, let's go. And that's exactly what happened to me. But yes, I ignored a lot of little moments, and those little moments piled on, and it had me face what I was doing. And so I would say now, I don't have major moments because I'm being way more aware and catching myself, but I do have moments that come up because you're always creating. You're always creating over and over again. Every time you have a thought, every feeling you have, you get to choose again. You're never stuck. So, what are you continuously choosing?
I see myself in so many things that you have said. You're so right and on the point when you say you will feel and hear this voice. It will come once in a while and you will ignore it, and then it will compound and you will be pushed to look into yourself. The question for you would be, how did you discover what can help you? You said, okay, I want to change it. And me too. And then I came into this community of manifestation spirituality. And so this is how I discovered it. Was it similar for you or?
Very similar. Very similar. I think that we already have everything that we need. It just depends on the perception you're at. So I knew I didn't fully see, and that's anything in life. You don't fully see how you're going to get there, what all the tools that are required, but all you have to do is ask the question or set the intention. And all I did was say, I don't want this anymore, and set the question of, or even set the intention, I want a completely different life, and this is where we're going. So once you do that, everything will come to you when you need it.
So true.
Do you
I did the
agree?
same.
Yeah.
I now know that it is working like this. So before I was more hoping, but now I know that it is exactly how it works. You just set intention or the question and it will be delivered.
It's how powerful we are. We are not meant to do all the work. We just think we do because we don't know any better. But once you do that enough times, you get to see that you're co-creating with life and life is supporting you. All you really have to do is focused attention, stable energy, right? And that is how you create anything. If you're saying one thing and then saying something that's the opposite, where's your attention? You can't be going both ways.
Mm-hmm. The signal is not pure, so you create a little bit mess. I have one last question. I have one word that resonates a lot with what we are doing. This word is expansion. And I realized expansion to me going from limited to limitless. You're expanding, and every period of your life or the season of your life has a different topics where you want to expand business freedom or you want to feel more like yourself. So how do you connect this word expansion with your life? What is for you expansion?
Expansion is an interesting word. I think of a balloon when I think of expansion, right? So what is the balloon doing? The more air you put into it, it's allowing space for something to come in, right? But resistance is occurring, right? The balloon is getting to a point where it's going to pop. The thing is, we are allowing ourselves space to be more. That's why sometimes it takes time. There's this transition period of how comfortable you are with this new identity, with this new expanded state. So it's a balloon. How much can you allow yourself to be? How comfortable do you feel? And so you asked us before, what are you currently doing in terms of expanding yourself? And so I've stepped back from business. I am a math tutor. I love doing that. I do that still. But my focus right now is going within and creating the foundation of who I am so that anything I build from that, it will be clean, powerful, and I'll be able to do it in less time. But again, you can do it any way that works for you. But for me, my most important thing is to come back to myself because I've been all over the place most of my life outside of myself and focus. And so I think the most important thing is to do the work within. So I'm allowing myself the space so I can expand and hold more.
I love that. I love that especially because you see how much trust you have that this is the truth. This is how the reality is created. So you will sit within yourself and put the set of the beliefs that you want to hold for yourself and for your future and for your vision and your profession. And then you know that this has to appear. Like materials or manifest, how people like to say nowadays. So
there's always so much to say because life is so beautiful and full, but trust yourself. Allow yourself to be more than you think. In this moment, think very big. You hear that over and over with people who are just living big. Think big because you're so much more than you can even possibly imagine right now. So allow yourself that potential and step into it and let go of the fear because fear is just an illusion. It does not exist. It's what you create in the mind. So just over and over, just keep reminding yourself who you want to be. And you're going to have the most amazing life over and over in this lifetime.
oh, so beautiful. So this episode was a very powerful and beautiful reminder that we can turn our weaknesses, our struggles, and our limitation into doorway to the next level of ourselves. And maybe the real shift happens when you really stop buying into this limited human experience and trusting that we are limitless consciousness. And I invite everyone who was today here to join us also on the next episode of the Limitless.